Today we're diving into Crysticism Parable 528.2, where a totally ordinary high school becomes this battlefield for two profoundly different ways of seeing the world. We're going to break down this story of conflict, identity, and power. So let's get right into it.
Okay, so the entire story is built on this one really fascinating premise, that Earth is a soul school. The idea here is that everything we go through, from high school drama to big life tests, are all just lessons designed to help us master ourselves. And this frame is so important because it turns the conflict from just a debate about school rules into something much, much deeper, about the whole purpose of our lives.
And right on cue, that conflict arrives. It shows up in the form of a new student group called the DEI Club, and its vision is about to challenge everything this soul school supposedly stands for. So this club, led by a pretty charismatic student named Diesel, has a platform that is an instant hit. I mean, they promise to get rid of the stress of exams, the feeling of failure. Their big proposal? A school where everybody gets an A, no questions asked. And for students who are just tired of all the pressure, this sounds like an absolute revolution.
So you might be wondering, what's the logic here? Well, when someone asks Diesel who made him the leader, his answer is simple. I self-identified as a leader. He just dismisses things like credentials or experience as old-fashioned, outdated ideas. In this new world, what you feel you are is way more important than what you can actually do.
To really paint a picture of this worldview, another student named Rev comes up with this perfect allegory. He basically asks, what does a world that runs on pure self-identification and this idea of equity actually look like? Well, he says, it looks like a football game with absolutely no rules.
And this no-rules game, it just perfectly illustrates the chaos, right? Anyone can score just by saying they did. You can switch teams in the middle of a play. You could have 10 teams on the field at once. And here's the kicker. No one is allowed to criticize anybody because that might hurt someone's feelings. So, when everybody's a winner, winning itself, well, it becomes totally meaningless.
Now, of course, this radical new idea doesn't just get a free pass. What happens next is a full-on debate between the DEI Club's philosophy and the soul school worldview, which is represented by our main characters, Evan and Evelyn.
The debate kicks off with the biggest question of all. Who are we? For the DEI Club, identity is all external. It's your race, your gender, your culture. But the soul school counterpoint argues that our true self is the soul, an identity that goes way beyond any of our temporary physical traits.
Next up, they tackle achievement. The club is all about demanding equity. That means guaranteed equal outcomes for everyone, no matter how much effort they put in. The soul school perspective, on the other hand, counters that by saying rewarding merit is what actually pushes us to grow and achieve self-mastery.
And then the debate gets even bigger. It moves on to the role of society itself. The club wants to defund any kind of enforcers because they see rules and consequences as oppressive. The other side argues that, no, laws are actually essential to protect the vulnerable and stop people from getting hurt.
So this table really boils it all down. When it comes to identity, it's a clash between an endless number of self-defined brain identities and the idea of one single, unchanging soul. On speech, it's about canceling anyone you disagree with versus believing that truth should be able to withstand any question. And finally, on freedom, it's the freedom to do whatever you want versus the freedom that comes from learning to master those desires. So, with these two worldviews at a complete and total stalemate, how does the story possibly resolve itself? Well, the ending is pretty unexpected, and it all hinges on the very ideas at the heart of the debate: identity and authority.
And this really gets to the core problem of the whole parable, doesn't it? When one side basically rejects logic and a shared sense of reality, how can you even have a debate? You can't win with facts if facts themselves are seen as offensive. But the story offers a pretty fascinating way out of this trap. And this is the turning point. Evan has this light bulb moment. He realizes he's never going to win with logic, so he decides to flip the script and use the club's own rules against them. He stops arguing and instead just declares a more powerful identity than anyone else in the room.
And you know what? It works. The students have been so conditioned to value identity above all else that when Evan claims the ultimate authority based on his identity, they literally have no way to argue against it. He dismisses the meeting and they just get up and leave. He basically short-circuited their entire ideology.
The parable wraps up with one last really powerful lesson. It introduces this concept of the armor of light. Think of it as a protective spiritual shield. The cool thing is, it's not something given to you. It's a field that you generate yourself, through your own positive thoughts and virtues, like courage and love.
And the text actually breaks this down into 2 layers of defense. First, there's that armor you build yourself through discipline and making good choices. But there's also a second layer, an external shield you can actually request from higher spiritual sources. It's described as a kind of partnership, though. You have to do your part and avoid destructive behaviors to keep it strong.
And this brings us to the final thought. This parable uses a simple high school to explore a much, much bigger conflict of ideas that we see all around us. It suggests that in this battle, your strongest defense might not be your arguments, but the internal strength and virtue that you build within yourself. So the question it leaves us all with is, what is your armor?